Welcome back to the False Prophet channel. I am your host, Brother Jacob, and tonight we have a very special show set up for to you. And we can't forget the slogan. This is the False Prophet channel, where we get Islam busted and the Prophet of Islam busted on a regular basis. Tonight, people, I had the opportunity to go up on the Kenny Bomer panel. Kenny Bomer made the worst mistake in his life. On his show, he had a 5-minute sound off. Okay? And on this episode, he said that he was going to start doing this every Thursday. But this is the worst mistake that Kenny Bomer ever made in his life by allowing yours truly, Brother Jacob, to speak for 5 minutes. He did not mute me. Finally, you will see what happens when Kenny Bomer does not mute me. In only 5 minutes, I destroyed his whole entire show. I destroyed his whole entire claim that Muhammad is a prophet. What we have for you tonight, without a shadow of a doubt, is the most irrefutable, one of the most powerful arguments to show Muslims that Muhammad is a false prophet that you will ever see in your life. Kenny Bomer was totally embarrassed, people. Now, before we even start, I just want to give a disclaimer that I am not responsible for any seizures that you may have from the shock that you see tonight. So don't try to sue me. I'm warning you right now. You are about to get the shocker of your life. Okay? So without further ado, we're going to start at the moment when Kenny Bomer allowed me to come on the platform. He gave me 5 minutes to speak. So with that said, here we go.
Okay, so Devin, welcome to the show. This is a segment titled.
And just to set you up and prep you for what I'm about to do, in this portion of the video, you will see me reading from the hadith of their prophet, a Sahih hadith from their prophet. And when we finish showing you this, we will go to the hadith and we will read it for you and break it down and show you step by step why this hadith totally dismantles Islam.
5-minute sound off. Okay, so I got a timer right here. I'm gonna give whoever wants to come on for the 5-minute sound off. We're gonna start doing this every Thursday. We have a 5-minute sound off where people can come on. They can say anything they want to for 5 solid minutes. We won't say a word. And the time is all yours. So I'm going to start your time if you're ready right now.
All right. Greetings, everybody. This is Brother Jacob. You can subscribe to my channel, the False Prophet channel, where we expose Islam and the Prophet of Islam on a regular basis. Last time I was on the Kenny Bomer show, I was debating a Muslim on his panel by the name of Kareem. If you go to my channel, you will see the new video I have posted where I actually caught Kareem lying about the hadith that I quoted, where it says that Satan commands Muhammad for the good. And Kareem said that the word was whisper, but he said it was mistranslated into the English as whisper, but he is lying because you can go on my channel. The word that they used is command. And not only do they use that same Arabic word in that hadith, but in several hadiths, they use that same word, and for each one, it means command. So I just want you to know that Muhammad admitted that he was commanded, he was taking commands from Satan. So he wasn't just taking commands from Allah, he was also taking commands from Satan. Now I want to get into what I want to present to you today. Now, Muslims, they pray 5 times a day. They pray a prayer called the Al-Fatiha. And in the Al-Fatiha, they pray that Allah show them and guide them on the right path. But according to this hadith that I'm about to read you, Muhammad went against the Al-Fatiha. He went against the Quran, okay? Because if I was to ask Kenny who guides him, Kenny would respond, Allah guides me or Muhammad guides me. But in this hadith I'm about to read you, Muhammad encouraged the Muslims to go against the Quran, and that in certain situations they should go by what they feel and guide themselves. And I'm about to read the hadith to you. Narrated Abdullah, the Prophet prayed, and the sub-narrator Ibrahim said, I do not know whether he prayed more or less than usual. And when he had finished the prayers, he was asked, O Allah's messenger, has there been any change in the prayers? He said, what is it? The people said, you have prayed so much and so much. So the Prophet bent his legs, faced the Qibla, and performed 2 prostrations of Sahu, and finished his prayers with Taslim by turning his face to right and left, saying, Assalamu alaikum. When he turned his face to us, he said, if there had been anything changed in the prayer, surely I would have informed you. But I am a human being like you and liable to forget like you. So if I forget, remind me. And if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, he should follow what he thinks to be correct and complete his prayer accordingly and finish it and do 2 prostrations of Sahu. So as you see, Muhammad did not encourage them to pray to Allah to guide them to show them the right path. He told them that they should follow what they think to be correct. Now, when you tell somebody to follow what they think to be correct, you have just destroyed Islam and presented a new religion, because we, the human beings, supposed to be guided by the Creator. So when you tell somebody to follow what they think to be correct, that can be anything. Because of a person, because Muslims say, and Kenny says all the time, that God does not dwell in them. So as Christians, we have the Holy Spirit to guide us. So when Muhammad said to go by what you feel is correct, then he gave them the green light to go by what they feel to be correct. So that can be anything. Once you tell somebody that they can go by what they feel to be correct, you have opened up a can of worms. What if they feel that saying something blasphemous in the prayer is correct? What can you say about it? He said, go by what you feel to be correct. Now, I know what Kenny and them will try to do. They'll try to reword it and say, oh, no, the Prophet didn't mean that. When he said feel to be correct, he didn't mean actually anything, and you say anything wrong that goes against Islam. But nowhere in the hadith does it give any exceptions about what you shouldn't feel is correct. It said, go by what you feel is correct. And of course, Mustafa will, it doesn't mean that. That's why I don't like to be on the panel with them. Let me go and get off the panel, because he knows that I'll be coming with the truth, and things like this that I'm saying, it gets him afraid. Also, last week, I was discussing about how it doesn't make sense how much time I got left.
And that was your time, Jacob.
Okay, right.
So as you see, did you see the face on Kenny when I was reading that hadith? But we're going to show you the hadith, and we're going to show you, but before we go to the hadith, we're going to show you the weak rebuttals that they were trying to make. They had nowhere to go. And I wish that smart alley dude by the name of Kareem was on the show. I would just laugh. I would just love to see what he would have to say, because he always trying to come up with some opinions. He wouldn't have anything to say, because the hadith is very, very clear. It can't get no clearer than what it is. Okay? So right now, let's look at their little weak rebuttals that they are going to try to make to go against what their prophet said. So here we go.
My plan was to not say a single word, because most of the stuff that he says is
MashaAllah.
I have to say this. Just a prime example. Just today, alhamdulillah, look how Allah makes things manifest. How the truth is made clear from falsehood. Alhamdulillah. Just today, I was doing the door prayer, right? And and I, because we're human beings, I forgot what frustration, what number I was on, right?
Yeah,
And
mashallah.
so,
Something very, very elementary for the Muslim.
it happens because we're human beings. I forgot which one that I was on, and so what did I do? I continue with the prayer, and this is the exact same example with the Prophet peace be upon him.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't understand what the hadith is talking about. It's okay.
Now notice you see me waving my finger because Kenny is trying to allude that the only thing that their prophet was talking about when it said go by what you think is correct when you are saying the prayer, he's trying to evade the fact that it's talking about the prayer. A prayer is the words that you say. He said it himself. He was like, truth makes something clear from error. His famous little, when he's trying to get away from something. But he said it himself. He forgot a prostration. But the hadith said a prayer. Now, if I was to ask any Muslim, is a prostration a prayer? No, it's not. A prostration is a position. A prayer is a prayer. It's totally different. And we're going to break that down, and we're going to show you why it's different. And we're going to show you why this saying by their prophet telling these Muslims to go by what they think is correct, why that is in total opposition to the Quran, and why it gives Muslims the green light to do whatever they want to do. And we'll explain all of that. But let's finish listening to their weak rebuttals.
This very thing happened to me today. And what did I do? I remembered, and I just kept continuing with the prayer. At the end of the prayer, what do? I make 2 prostrations to make up for the mistake.
Yeah.
To make up for my own mind slipping away, or or getting distracted, or just being sleepy, or whatever the case might be. Yeah. Being distracted. We're fasting right now, so sometimes in the midst of the fast, maybe you're.
And notice how he is not referring to when his prophet says that if you forget something in the prayer, to go by what you think is correct. And we're going to show you why that statement from Muhammad is so devastating and why it is so contradictory to the opening chapter in the Quran itself. They don't have nothing for this, people. I'm trying to tell you, use this argument. It is irrefutable.
A little not as coherent as normal. Whatever the case, I'm just using that example. I was actually coherent. I just simply, in the midst of the prayer, I forgot which rakat I was on.
Brother Kenny, should I give you an advice on that? Because it used to happen to me lots of times. Because as you know, I'm also a revert, and I came to Islam in the middle of 2006. Anyway, look what you do. It's not an innovation. It's something to help you, and I think it's permissible in my humble opinion. While you are holding your hands on top of your chest, let me move the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me move the camera a bit.
Yeah.
Look what you do. If you're in your first rak'ah, just do this, and then your second rak'ah, just do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it.
Yeah. Very, very seldom does that happen.
Very, very simple. Just remember to do this. Can you see my fingers?
Yeah, that's great advice. Alhamdulillah, brother. So very seldom does that happen to me.
In case you forget, just remember your which finger, how many fingers you have here. That's it.
Now you see how they keep trying to focus on prostrations, but not focusing on the words that's spoken in the prayer. But we're going to get into that. And the reason why they are having to do that, because if they focus on the words, when he said that you can say what you think is correct, they know that it will get them totally busted. So that's why they're trying to minimize it and trying to focus on the prostration instead of the words. Because when it said prayer, if you were to ask any of them, is a prostration a prayer? With no words. You see that man with the headphones and he holding his hand on his chest and he was moving his fingers like he pledged allegiance to the American flag. If he is doing that without saying words, is that a prayer? No, it's not. What did Muhammad say in the hadith? He said prayer. So a prostration by itself is not a prayer. And we're going to show you where Muhammad used the word anything, which means he was talking about more than just the prostration. He was also talking about the words that are spoken during the prayer. So we're going to show you why this is so devastating to Islam and why it contradicts the opening chapter in the Quran and why Muhammad just commanded his followers to commit shirk and told them that they are their own guides and prophets. But we're going to show you all of that.
Very, very seldom does that happen to me, but literally today, alhamdulillah, it happened to me. And what did I do? I continue with the salat. What am I supposed to do? Now, sometimes I say, this has happened to me before, and I completely started over. So I stopped, and I was like, yeah, alhamdulillah. I start again, Allahu Akbar.
No problem.
I begin the prayer again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not unreasonable. He knows we're human beings. He knows that sometimes we get distracted, whatever the case might be. But he also accepts us for our intentions. So even if, let's say someone went through the prayer and they made a mistake along the way, but they didn't even comprehend it. They didn't realize it. Allah still accepts the prayer, even though they made the mistake, because he's gauging our intention. Okay, so this is just simple common sense. This is what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was admitting.
Notice all the while, Kenny is staying away from the part that says, go by what you think is correct. When it says that, a person can think anything is correct. A person can think that making prostrations to the three daughters of Allah is correct. A person could think that praying to the three daughters of Allah is correct. So when Muhammad said that, he said that if you forget anything in the prayers, and it also mentions something about the Qibla. Okay, so if a Muslim is going by what he thinks is correct, what if he decides to face a different direction other than the Qibla? Other than facing the mosque in Mecca? Because Muhammad said, go by what you think is correct. So what if they think correct is facing the Empire State Building in New York City? What can they say? Because Muhammad said, go by what you think is correct. And we're going to break all of that down. And we're going to show you why the Bible gives us a verse to safeguard us from going by how we feel. And according to Kenny, Muslims do not have a spirit of God living inside of them. So if you go by what you think is correct, like Muhammad ordered them to do, that means he is telling them to go by their carnal feelings. And you know that man is prone to mistakes. Because Kenny was just up there admitting he forgot certain things when he was doing the prayer. Okay, so what if you forget when Muhammad said, go by what you think is correct? What if you forget certain things that the Quran says not to do, like blasphemy, for instance? And what if you want to make a prostration, sticking your middle finger up to Allah as one of your prostrations? But guess what? You would be right. You know why? Because Muhammad said, go by what you think is correct. And that's all inclusive. And when he said that, he didn't make any exceptions. He didn't say, go by what you think is correct unless it goes against Islam. He did not say that. He did not make any exceptions, and they know he didn't. This is a clear busted.
Even him being a human being, the Prophet, peace be upon him, being a human being, human beings are, make mistakes. Okay, that doesn't mean he sinned. He didn't commit a sin, but he made a mistake. And what did he tell the Sahaba? This is so humble for the brother, the Prophet, peace be upon him, for him to tell his brothers in Islam, if I make a mistake, be sure to remind me. If I forget, remind me so that I can.
And notice the whole while he is staying away from the part that says, go by what you think is correct. The point that I was bringing up had nothing to do about Muhammad being human or not. They trying to divert the issue, and they know exactly what they are doing. It had nothing to do about Muhammad forgetting because he was human and somebody reminding him what to say. It has nothing to do with that. And also, that brings a bigger problem to the picture. You know why? Because Muhammad told them to go by what they think is correct. So let's just say, for example, Muhammad forgets the prayer, okay? He tells them that if he does, to remind him. But he also told them to go by what they think is correct. So what if they remind him something like that they think is correct, but they say, Muhammad, pray to the three daughters of Allah. He forgot, but he also said remind him, and he told them to go by what they think is correct. So as you see, this opens up a can of worms, and there's no way they can get out of this. This is a clear, busted stamp. And I wish I had a stamp that says busted that I can put on the screen across the face of Kenny Bomer. This is busted city, baby.
In the case of Devin here, he doesn't understand what the hadith is talking about. He thinks the hadith is in reference to just any occasion. He doesn't understand that the hadith is specifically for salah that we do. So can you unmute him? Let me ask him something very quickly.
Yeah, look at him here.
Yeah. Devin,
everyone else is sitting calmly. No one's yelling. No one else.
By the way, Kenny, I'm celebrating and laughing at you ignorant ass. That's why I'm moving my head. I'm laughing at your ignorance and you trying to escape the embarrassment. That's why I'm shaking my head and nodding, because you and your whole panel was embarrassed, and now you regret ever allowing me to speak these 5 minutes uninterrupted. So now everybody sees why every time I come on your panel, you mute me, because you know the damage that I cause every time I come on your panel.
Veins popping out of the forehead like you do. What is wrong with you? What is wrong?
Yeah, that's fine. You don't have to show us that screen, your screen.
We don't need that screen. We're already
Devin, can I ask you something?
Listen what he gets to say.
Unmute yourself, Devin. Yeah, can I ask you something?
Let me speak now. No, let me speak. He unmuted me, so
let me ask you something very quickly. Just let me ask you.
Let me speak. No, let me speak. Because I knew, and that's why I said during my 5 minutes, I knew that y'all would try to skate and skirt around the fact that the Al-Fatiha says that Allah supposed to guide you, and when Muhammad said, go by what you feel is correct, he gave you the green light to guide yourself. And not only that, he's not just talking about religion. He says anything you change in the crowd. He said there'll be anything you change in the crowd. So he is not just...
If you keep yelling, I just muted you. If you keep yelling, you're out of here. I'm not going to listen to you yelling.
So now he was prepping himself up to kick me out, because this is what Kenny does. When he see that I'm on to something, he's looking for a way to kick me out of the show. So that's when he goes to his little trick bag of, okay, I got to think of a way to kick Devin off the panel, because Brother Jacob, he's coming with too many facts and we can't deal with it. So I got to, find some other reason to get him up out of here, because I know what he's saying is true and I got to get this man up out of here. And the reason why I was speaking loudly, because as you see, the other Muslim, he kept talking and I was trying to say something and he was trying to talk over me, and Kenny ended up muting me like always. But this time the muting didn't work because he already gave me the 5 minutes to destroy him. And this session that he had, it was around 2 hours and 30 minutes, and it only took me 5 minutes to destroy his prophet and his whole entire religion. Busted.
Devin, are you going to calm down? Are you going to calm down? Are you going to calm down? Would you calm down? For just like 10 seconds? Is that possible, sir?
I don't think it is.
10 seconds, is it possible? For just 10 seconds?
I just remembered something.
Now watch what this guy do with the glasses. He's going to do something, a classical move that Muslims always do. Instead of him addressing the point about his prophet saying, do what you think is correct, telling Muslims to guide themselves. But hold up. Last time I checked, Muhammad was the one who supposed to bring the final message. But he was telling Muslims to go by what they feel is correct. Okay, so if he is telling them to go by what they feel is correct, then why in the hell was Muhammad sent as the final messenger for Islam? If he's going to tell them, imagine Moses, and they say that in the book of Deuteronomy, it's speaking about Muhammad. Muhammad is the prophet who is like Moses, and he's supposed to come. If Muhammad is like Moses, I want these Muslims to show us where in the Bible did Moses tell the Israelites to do what they think is correct and not follow what God says is correct. Imagine Moses telling the Israelites that if you forget the 10 commandments to do something that you think is correct. Don't go by the 10 commandments. So how can Muhammad be a prophet like Moses when Moses never did anything like that? When the Quran tells them to do one thing, when you read the opening chapter of the Quran, it tells them they pray 5 times a day. Now, mind you, Muhammad prayed 5 times a day. The Al-Fatiha, within that prayer, and we're going to show you, it tells Muslims to pray that Allah guides them on the right path. Now, the right path is Islam, which includes the 5 pillars of Islam, and one of those pillars is prayer, salat, okay? But Muhammad told them to do the very opposite. Instead of him telling them that if you forget what to do, don't go by what you feel is correct, because what you feel is correct could be anything. Because Kenny just admitted, and the Hadith admitted, that Muhammad is human, so he can forget things. So a human being can also make a mistake or do something wrong by default of being human being and do something that's what he thinks is correct, but is actually incorrect and goes against Islam. But Muhammad gave them the green light to do that. And that's why the first chapter in the Quran tells them to pray that Allah guides them on the right path. So which one is it? Does Allah supposed to guide them on the right path, or are they supposed to go by what they think is correct? Because if they're going by what they think is correct, then guess what? They don't need Allah to guide them on the right path. This is the type of thing that don't allow Muslims to frustrate you. When they try to make you seem like you are wrong, this is a clear as day argument. It's no way that you can say that you can reconcile praying for Allah to guide you on the right path, and then in the next passage saying, if you forget something, meaning you have gotten off path, right? Because you forgot something. So if you forgot something, you don't turn your GPS system back on, which is Allah, and praying that he guides you on the right path. No, Muhammad told him to go by what you feel is correct. Go by what you think is correct. Okay? It's just like me, if I was driving in a car, right? And let's just say the GPS represents God, the one who's supposed to be guiding me. Okay? If I lose connection with my GPS, and if I try to go by my understanding of the roads, guess what? I still may be misled because I don't know the directions off the top of my head. But that's what Muhammad told them to do. So there's no way that they can reconcile this hadith and the Al-Fatiha. This actually is what I consider the satanic verses version 2.0. And I find it very funny that they can nitpick through the Bible and try to find contradictions. But this plain as day contradiction, they try to circumvent and avoid. But if this same mistake was in our scriptures, the Bible, the Torah, the gospel, they will be pointing it out just like I'm pointing it out in Islam. So this proves that they are nothing but hypocrites and liars. That's exactly what they are. They are hypocrites and liars, and that's why God allowed me to get them busted to show you.
Did you know that according to the Bible?
Now watch what this dude is doing. He's doing a classical move. He diverted from the topic. He didn't want to address what I was saying, so he went to the Bible and got totally off subject. But I'm going to still play it just to show you how they do.
Bible, even Prophet Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, even Prophet Jesus forgets.
Yeah.
Did you know that? For example, in the Gospel according to John, he's speaking to his disciples for at least 3 to 4 chapters. And in the 13th chapter, or 14th chapter.
So that's a bunch of BS. But basically, he was trying to say something about Jesus forgets or whatever. But this is the thing. Whatever he was saying was off subject, and we can address that another time. It wasn't nothing devastating that he was saying. Trust me and trust and believe. But whatever he was saying, it was just a diversion to get away from my 5 minutes that I was allowed to speak. Okay? And whatever he was saying, he can't say that Jesus ever told us to go by our own understanding. But Kenny admitted it. He admits it all the time that Muslims don't have no spirit of God in them. So they just go by their mind, like Muhammad told them. Muhammad basically told them to guide themselves by their flesh, to go by their fleshly desires of what they think is correct. So basically telling them to create their own Islam, to create their own pillar of Islam by going by what they think is correct. So Kenny Bomer knows good and well what I'm saying is absolutely right. But this is the thing. You know what I'm saying is absolutely right. And even a Muslim right now who is listening to me, you know what I'm saying is absolutely right. But as Christians, we have to understand that don't allow them, what they say, to, make you second guess the facts that you tell them, because this is what they are expected to do. Like, even when I go on their panel, I'm not expecting them to say, you know what, Brother Jacob, you are absolutely right. Muhammad did tell us to go by our own flesh, and it does go against the Al-Fatiha that we pray, that Allah should guide us. You know what, Brother Jacob, you are absolutely right. Muhammad should have told them, since he was a prophet, that if you forget, that you should pray to Allah to guide you on the path and bring back what you forgot back to your memory, so you don't go off point and end up saying something that's blasphemous, going by your flesh and thinking your flesh is correct, when your flesh can go against what Allah says in the Quran. They never going to say that. So what they do is expected. So I just use this show as basically a way to highlight the way that Muslims think and the way they operate. Like the guy with the glasses with the headphones, they don't have answers, you see? So at this moment, let's go to the hadith that I presented to them. This is good. Let's bring it up. Do y'all see that? As you see, this is the hadith that I read on Kenny's show. All right. Narrated Abdullah. The Prophet prayed, and the sub-narrator Ibrahim said, I do not know whether he prayed more or less than usual. Okay. So it's already letting you know that it's about the prayer, because it's saying, he is saying he don't know if he prayed more or less than usual. Okay. So let's start back again. Narrated Abdullah. The Prophet prayed, and the sub-narrator Ibrahim said, I do not know whether he prayed more or less than usual. And when he had finished the prayers, he was asked, O Allah's messenger, has there been any change in the prayers? Okay. Has there been any change in the prayers? He said, what is it? He didn't even know what they was talking about. The people said, you have prayed so much and so much. It didn't say you have did so many prostrations so much and so much. Did it? That's what they was trying to direct everything to, because they was trying to get away from the fact that it's also talking about the very words, the prayer, okay? That's why they was saying that. And we're going to show you that it wasn't even talking about the prostrations, and we're going to show you that. Okay? You have prayed so much and so much. So the Prophet bent his legs, faced the Qibla and performed 2 prostrations of Sahu, and finished his prayers with Taslim by turning his face to right and left, saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. When he turned his face to us, he said, if there had been anything changed in the prayer, notice, anything means what? The words, the prostrations, okay? So it's not just prostrations like they were trying to say, like they was trying to allude to, okay? Notice what the prophet said. If there had been anything, now the word anything means what? All inclusive, right? It's not making no exceptions, not leaving anything out. People, it's clear as day. If there had been anything changed in the prayer, okay, surely I would have informed you, okay? But I am a human being like you and liable to forget like you, okay? So if I forget, remind me, okay? And if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, did it say prostration? No, it said prayer. If any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, he should follow what he thinks to be correct and complete his prayer accordingly and finish it and do 2 prostrations of Sahu. Okay, so Muhammad right here is giving them the instructions to follow what they think is correct. Because it says, and if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, it didn't say doubtful about your prostrations. Okay, it said the prayer. He should follow what he thinks to be correct and complete his prayer accordingly to what? To what he thinks to be correct. It didn't say he should follow his prostrations. It says his prayer accordingly to what he thinks to be correct and finish it. Finish what? His prayer, the words, and do 2 prostrations of Sahu. Now notice he gives instructions about how many prostrations to give after the prayer. Okay? He didn't give instructions about if they forget the prayer. He didn't give them instructions about what to do. He told them to follow what they think is correct. So this is letting you know that it's about the words of the prayer. Because if it was about the prostrations, like Kenny and them was trying to make it, he would have told them to do any amount of prostrations at the end of the prayer. Okay? But that's not what he said. And anyway, to further prove my point that it's about the prayer, and for the benefit of the doubt, let's just say if it was about the prayer and prostrations, fine. It's still including the prayer as a part of something that you forget. And if you forget it, you should go by what you think is correct, okay? Because he says clear as day, read, if there had been anything changed in the prayer, okay, I would have informed you about it. But I am a human being like you and liable to forget like you. So if I forget, remind me, remind him of what? If there was anything changed in the prayer. So they supposed to remind him about anything in the prayer includes the words. It could mean the prostrations, but you can't have prostrations by themselves and say that that is prayer. So it has to be prayer is words. Because in Christianity, we can pray without doing prostrations. Okay? So prayer is words. It's not prostrations. No Muslim can just sit up and do prostrations like putting your hand over your heart, like the Pledge of Allegiance, and say that this is prayer without saying a what? A prayer out of your mouth. Okay? And their prophet said, if there had been anything changed in the prayer, surely I would have informed you, but I am a human being like you and liable to forget like you. So if I forget, remind me. And if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, guess what? He should follow what? Let's repeat this, because these Muslims like to play dumb and stupid for some reason. Kenny and them and his panel, they like to play dumb and stupid for some reason. If any one of you is doubtful about his prostration, did it say prostration? If any one of you is doubtful about his Qibla direction, if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, that's what it says, prayer. He should follow what he what? What Allah says? No. Did it say that? He should follow what? What Muhammad says? No. Did it say that? He should follow what? He thinks to be correct and complete his prayer accordingly and finish it and do 2 prostrations of sahu. This is clear as day, a busted all day argument. Now let's go to the Quran and we're going to show you why this particular hadith and what their prophet said, why it is in direct opposition against the Quran. Let's show you why Muhammad commanded them to disobey Allah. So let's show you. Now let's bring up the Al-Fatiha. Oh, here it goes. Let's just go to this picture right here. Let's enlarge it. So we got the transliteration on the left-hand side. We got the transliteration on the left-hand side. And we have the English translation on the right-hand side. So this is the Al-Fatiha that Muslims pray 5 times a day. So let me minimize it a little bit. Okay. Now, is Brother Jacob making this up? See, we go to their sources to get them busted. Let's read what the Muslims have to pray 5 times a day. Let's read it. In the name of Allah, who is really Satan. So we're gonna replace Allah with Satan. In the name of Satan, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise and thanks be to their Allah, who is really Satan, the Lord of the worlds, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, owner, master of the day of judgment. You alone do we worship, and you alone we ask for help. We're going to break this down. You alone we ask for help. But did Muhammad instruct them to ask Allah for help when they forgot that prayer? Huh, Kenny boy? Huh, Kareem boy? Huh, Mustafa girl with the voice like an injured mouse? Huh? Did he? Busted. You alone do we worship, and you alone we ask for help. What did Muhammad tell them to ask for help? Ask their own mind. Ask their own feelings. Ask how they feel is correct. Guide us on the straight path. What did Muhammad tell them when they get off the straight path? To go by what they feel is correct. Go by what they feel is correct. What they pray 5 times a day? That Allah guides them on the straight path. They ask for Allah to guide them on the straight path. The path of those whom you have favored, not the path of those who earn your anger, nor of those who go astray. They went astray. When you're going by your own thing, is that following Allah or is that going astray? What did Muhammad tell them? Go by what they feel is correct. What does the Al-Fatiha say? The path of those whom you have favored, not the path of those who earn your anger, nor of those who go astray. It says not the path of those who earn your anger. So when Muhammad told them to go by what they think is correct, that falls under the heading of not the path of those who earn your anger. Not the path of those. That means those who create their own path. Like Muhammad told them to go by what you think is correct. Is what they think is correct? Is that what Allah commands them to do? Or is that what they think is correct? And we're going to show you why that presents so many problems. Is going by what you think is correct? What if what you think is correct goes against what Allah says is correct? Busted, man. The path of those whom you have favored, not the path of those who earn your anger, nor of those who go astray. But Muhammad told them to go astray. Whenever you tell somebody in religion to follow your own thing, you have told them to go astray. Because what if a jinn is influencing them to make them think that they are correct? Did not that happen to Muhammad, i.e., the satanic verses? I.e., when Muhammad was under black magic and when he was hallucinating and thinking that he was sleeping with his wives when he hadn't even slept with them, you would think he would have learned a lesson since he was under black magic. You would think he would learn a lesson to not go by what you think is correct. You would think Muhammad would have learned a lesson about going by what you think is correct when he quoted the satanic verses. When Gabriel came to him and told him that he was deceived by a false Gabriel. Okay? But that's what happens when you go by what you think is correct. Okay? So, oh, Allah accepted. You see? So just read that for yourself. I'm going to give y'all some time to read that so you can analyze it. So Muslims, I want you to read this. And we're going to give you all 5 seconds to read this Fatiha. And we'll give you some time to comment in the section below and try to make up all, try to evade what I'm saying, like Kenny and them was doing. It's no way out of this. It's no way out of this. It's no way out of this. Okay? So let's give the Muslims 5 seconds to read this. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. Now let's go to the Bible and show you what our God tells us. And we're going to show you why Muslims, when they say that our God and their God is the same God, listen, our God would never tell us to go by what we think is correct. Jesus never told us to go by what we think is correct. Yahweh in the Bible never told us to go by what we think is correct. So let's get them busted, and we're going to show them what the Bible says about going by what you think is correct. Let's go to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Let's go to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Let's go to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. This is the King James Version. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, it safeguards us from being deceived by a demon, like Muhammad was, when he read the satanic verses, because he was going by what he thought what was correct. And you see what happened in that situation. So how can Muhammad be a wise man? A wise man would not say, I'm a human, so I'm liable to forget things, and then turn around and tell his followers to go by what they think is correct. After he just said that he is a human and liable to forget things. In other words, liable to not be perfect, liable to make mistakes. A wise prophet wouldn't turn around and then tell his followers to go by what they think is correct. So right now, let's read Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, King James Version. And it's a safeguard against us going by our own feelings and carnal desires. Let's read Proverbs 3, 5, 6. See, the Bible had already figured this stuff out way before the false religion of Islam came about. Okay, this verse came out way thousands of years before Muhammad came with that lying demonic Quran. So the Bible had already set the truth before the Quran came with, and the Hadiths came with the lies. So let's read it. Proverbs 3, 5, 6, King James Version. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. No. Not lean not unto thine own understanding. Go by what you think is correct. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. No, he won't direct thy paths. Going by what you think is correct, like Muhammad said, will direct your paths. Let's read it again. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Boom. That's clean. That's clean right there. That's clean. And you know what these Muslims say? You know what they tell us? They tell us that Allah sent down the Injil, and he sent down the Torah and the Zabur. He sent it down to us. So if he sent it down to us, okay, and these verses that I'm reading you was written down by prophets, then why is Muhammad saying something that goes against, according to them, Allah's word? Now they'll say that they can't say this verse right here is corrupt. Nothing about this verse right here is corrupt. So now, according to them, the Bible is the words of Allah, and the Quran is the words of Allah. So according to what they say, we got two words of Allah saying to depend on God to direct your path. Not lean. Even in the Al-Fatiha, they are told to pray for Allah to guide them on the right path. And in the Bible, it says the same thing. And what does the Quran says? What does the Quran says? That if Muhammad was in doubt about anything, that he should go to the people with the scriptures who had the book before him, which would be the Christians and the Jews, to validate or quantify anything that he said. Okay. Now, what else did the Quran say? That it was sent to what? Confirm the books that came before it. Okay. So here you have, according to them, this verse was sent down by Allah. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And the Al-Fatiha was sent down by Allah, according to them. And both of these verses are telling the Muslims to trust and follow God and pray that God directs your path, not leaning to your own understanding, like Muhammad told them. Let's go back to Sunnah.com. Let's pull that hadith back up before we get out of here, because I think our job is done. And I will implore you to use this argument or use this fact whenever you are dealing with Muslims. They cannot get out of this. And if you need to reference what I'm saying, like as notes before you, because the Bible says, study to show thyself approved, a workman who needeth not to be ashamed. So when you go before people and you are saying what I'm saying, you don't stumble over your words. So this is why I do these videos. You can come back to Brother Jacob's videos and use this as a reference point, okay? So as you see, their prophet, let's scroll back up and bring it back up. Look what he told him to do. He told him, and if any one of you is doubtful, let's talk to Kenny, the Kenny Bomer panel. So if I forget, remind me. And if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, he should follow what he thinks to be correct and complete his prayer accordingly and finish it and do 2 prostrations, okay? So if they forget their prayer, they are not supposed to pray that Allah guides them, like the opening chapter. That's what they call it, the opening in the Quran. The first chapter in the Quran is the Al-Fatiha. that they pray 5 times a day. So Muhammad is telling them to go against what Allah says, but yet he is a prophet of Allah, but saying things opposite of Allah. Okay. That's funny in itself. And not only that, so many more, issues with it. With this, a person going by what they think is correct. What if they think praying to the 3 daughters of Allah is correct? Al-Uzza, Al-Alat, and Manat. That Muhammad got in trouble for when he quoted the satanic verses and he prostrated and bowed down with the Sabians, and he was bowing down to the 3 daughters of Allah, and then he took it back when Gabriel came to him. And you know why he made that mistake? Because he was going by what he thought was correct. Because like Kenny likes to say on his panel, Muslims don't have a spirit of God inside of them. They don't have a spirit of God in them. So they just going by their own carnal, fleshly mind and desires. So what's another problem we see in this hadith, okay? A Qibla within the Muslim prayer and their salat, the Qibla is also an important part to it, okay? So if they going by what they think is correct, what if they think correct is not facing Mecca? Well, guess what? What could anybody say about it? Their prophet gave them the green light to do it. So you can think of anything like that they can say, anything you can think of to say, what if they think this is correct to get Islam busted? You would be right in doing so. What if they think it's correct to end their prayer with, "Oh Satan, bless you. Oh Satan, you are the most powerful, the most merciful"? What can any of them say? Because that's what Muhammad said. Go by what you think is correct. So that gets them busted. Oh, and one more thing. It also gets Muhammad busted again. Let's show you another contradiction. Bring something else to mind. Let me show you. This is another hadith. They're not even supposed to go by what they think is correct. Let's read. Ibn Abbas said, "None of you should say about a thing which he does not know. Allah knows it. When Allah may know that it is other than what he said, and thus he tries to teach Allah what he does not know, that is something terrible in Allah's sight." So not only did Muhammad go against the Al-Fatiha and what Allah said, he gave them the green light to say things about Allah that Allah didn't tell them to say. And this hadith tells you right here, none of you should say about a thing which he does not know. Allah knows it. When Allah may know it, that it is other than what he said, like when Muhammad told them to go by what they think is correct. Read what it says. Allah knows it. When Allah may know that it is other than what he said, what did he say in the Al-Fatiha? What are they supposed to pray? Allah, show us the right path. What did Muhammad tell them? Go by what you think is correct. What did Ibn Abbas say right here? None of you should say about a thing which he does not know. Allah knows it. When Allah may know that it is other than what he said, and thus he tries to teach Allah what he does not know, that is something terrible in Allah's sight. Okay? So what if in this prayer, since they can pray what they think is correct, what if they start praying what they think is correct, and they think it's correct to tell Allah things about a certain subject matter that they don't know, but yet Allah knows it? You see what I'm saying? So Muhammad gave them the green light to totally destroy Islam, okay? So this just This does it, people. Like, it's no way out of this for them. It's no way out of this. Like, this is what you call in chess, what they call it. They say checkmate. This is a checkmate, buddy. This is a checkmate, buddy. Now you see why I was laughing when they had me on mute when I was behind the screen. Because it was funny how they was trying to get away from the part when he said that you go by what you think is correct, you know? So this is a checkmate all day. So I want y'all to share these videos, upload these videos on your social media, put these links to these videos on Muslim Facebook pages, put these Facebook links, these video links on, various different Muslim channels, and point this out to them and just sit back and see what they say, and just sit back and get you a good laugh to see how they stumble over their words. Because when you follow lies, you will always get exposed. Like we just exposed their prophet. It's no way out of this hadith for them. No way whatsoever. And let's just leave them with the final quote from their prophet. So if I forget, remind me, and if any one of you is doubtful about his prayer, he should follow what he thinks to be correct and complete his prayer accordingly and finish it and do 2 prostrations. And with that, we will say shalom to everyone who listened. Enjoy the rest of your night. Peace and blessings from the Most High Yahweh. And hit the likes button, hit the subscribe button. And until we do this again, this is Brother Jacob signing out. And I want to leave with this. Busted. It's over. Checkmate.